Alright, y'all. The guy in the hard hat had just spent the better part of an hour on a panel discussing the darker side of indie development, unafraid to let the tears show in front of a packed room much like this, but much bigger. And I went up there and gave him a hug. I was at PAX 2012 because I was on a panel about breaking into the games industry. But, and maybe it was the blinding lights like that one, I don't remember my panel as vividly as I do Matt Gilgenbach's honesty. When I was invited to speak tonight, I wasn't sure I should. I was supposed to say something inspirational to y'all, but I want to talk about failure. Because I think risk and doubt, and yes, failure, are important. Because let's face it, not all of us are going to make it. Not all of us are going to be #1 on the App Store and Google Play. Not all of us are going to get greenlit on Steam, although these days maybe. Not all of us are going to get, headlines on Kotaku, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and all the others. But going for it, taking that risk, that'll teach you a lot about yourself, and you'll be better for it. I know because I am. Hi, I'm Ashley Zeldin. I am the creative director of Adorkable Games, a crazy little indie here in Los Angeles. I make mobile and online games with my partner, John Nesky, business and life partner. He is the technical director. So one night in early 2012, when we were first forming Adorkable Games, we were at a Mexican restaurant and I was just doodling diagrams on a paper napkin. That weekend we developed a playable prototype of that napkin game. Rows of blocks appear at the top and the bottom of the screen, converge towards the center, and you slide them around and make groups of 3 or more and tap to clear. Kind of like Tetris meets Bejeweled. The fast progress was really exciting, and our minds raced with ideas, but little did we know development of that game would take 2 years. When a project takes longer than expected, it can be really, demotivating. So of course we procrastinated, which made us even more demotivated, and reinforcing cycle. And since my partner is not only my business partner, but life partner, we feed off of each other's emotions. Seeing each other's demotivation just reinforced our own. So I told him I didn't want to work with him anymore, because I like seeing things through. I'm a completionist. And fortunately, he's as stubborn as I am, and took it as a challenge to finish the game. For better or for worse, I'm also a perfectionist, and my perfectionism clashes with my artistic ability, or lack thereof. It's been a bit of an ordeal to get the art of our games to the point where I'm satisfied, and it's not quite there yet, but I've definitely come a long way. Another demotivator was seeing our game cloned by an established indie studio that I thought were my friends. I know it sucks. We showed them our game at a conference and they were able to clone it quickly, releasing for Facebook before our demo even went online. So our games actually diverged after that as we added more features in preparation for mobile launch. We got to mobile first, but they still got more sales. I didn't have any delusions of overnight success, but being an indie developer means working hard without the promise of success. And I, like many other indies, have come to realize that success is actually relative. For me, success has been releasing Two-Faced at long last, and hopefully entertaining the handful of players around the world. This one name sticks out to me, Gregor Niwosh. I guess he's Polish or something, wherever you are in the world. People who somehow discover our game. And almost all the feedback has been positive, but there's been so little that it's hard to believe it's really true. Because I experience imposter syndrome. If you've ever gotten the feeling that you don't deserve all of the opportunities you're receiving or the success that you're achieving, then you're feeling it too. I'm constantly second-guessing myself because I feel like I'm a pretender, and I can't exactly pinpoint what triggers these negative thoughts, but I know that they're destructive, and I try to keep occupied so that it doesn't become consuming. I know I'm not alone, which totally helps, but overcoming self-doubt is an ongoing process. Yet, persevering despite the negative thoughts is another form of success. It's not always fortune or fame. By some standards, we are successful, in that we've come so much further than many others who've tried to make games. But we're still somewhat of a failure in traditional terms, because we've invested $20,000 of our own money into this company and haven't gotten anything back yet. Well, a little bit, but nothing like that. As for recognition, we haven't gotten that either. But I shouldn't discount the fact that I've done some great things. For example, I successfully pitched and led a discussion panel at PAX 2013 celebrating diversity amongst game developers that packed the room and did get written about in Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Next time I'm hoping Kotaku gets on it too. So you have to figure that out, what success means to you, right? Because there's more than one way to measure it, and if you equate success with fortune and fame, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because no matter how we define success, other people will define our success according to more conventional standards. Survivor bias means that people preferentially imitate perceived successes. Then the bandwagon effect takes over as more people want to be a part of that success. They don't see all the people, though, who've tried and failed, so they don't realize how much work there is to do and how much luck is actually required. Survivor bias is no more apparent than in the coverage of indie games. You hear about the successes, the Anti-Chambers, the Stanley Parables, the Skulls of the Shoguns, the Brays, the Threes, but for the most part, you don't hear about the innumerable failures. Matt Gilgenbach made himself heard, He went out and spoke at conferences about how he spent 4 years, $150,000, writing 750,000 lines of code for Retrograde. Articles focused on his failure, and then later his resilient reemergence that kickstarted another game. I do think it's important to tell these stories, though, as the honest exchange of ideas is necessary to help each other, whether we're celebrating our successes or coping with failures. I'll admit, I'm afraid of failure, aren't we all? Failure makes me question what the hell I'm doing here. It's hard for me to justify putting so much time and effort and money into something if I'm not seeing anything in return. And then if one game fails, how do I know the next game won't also fail? Having to ask these questions of myself almost discourages me from trying. Even developers who finish their games and find acclaim don't always see a return on their investment. As y'all know, games on Steam, they cost $10, $15? But don't people wait until they're on sale for half price or even less? And people refuse to spend the $2 for threes because, hey, 2040 it's free, and a lesser game. The value that goes into games during development hasn't decreased. The value gamers derive from games hasn't decreased, has it? But the value gamers place on games certainly has. It's difficult as creators to accept that other humans don't value our work. And indeed, it is so much work to make games. So I think we can actually look to the casual game space for inspiration in handling failure. I know, right? Clash of Clans creator Supercell, they celebrate failure. They know it's not fun, but they figure out what they did right and wrong, and then they toast to it, what they've learned, with champagne. It's well known that Angry Birds creator Rovio made 51 games before hitting. By the time they hit in 2010, they'd been making games for 8 years. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and they really needed that hit. And I don't think many indies consider Supercell or Rovio as role models, but the lessons we learn from them are still applicable to our games. Perseverance is a valuable trait in the indie space, because in all likelihood, your first game won't be a hit, and neither will your second. Even developers who experience success with one game may encounter failure in the next. Game development is a hit or miss industry. Mostly miss. So we have to lift each other up with us as we rise, and help break down barriers for each other. Otherwise, it's lonely at the top. And I can tell you, trust me, it's lonely at the bottom. Success to me has been literally having to pull my iPad out of people's hands at Comic-Con. Seeing Rami Ismail freaking out adorably while playing my game, holy crap. My accountant saying, hurry up and release it already because she wants to play it. Ben Vance, of all people, complimenting my mediocre art. My mom bragging to everybody she meets to look what her daughter did. So I'm especially proud to be here tonight giving this talk, not only to help others do better, but also to counter the survivor bias prevalent in indie culture. I found that going indie has highlighted my strengths and especially my weaknesses. For instance, I'm easily distracted, I'm a procrastinator, I'm lacking some very necessary indie development skills like programming, although I'm working on that. But being an indie has also brought out my strengths, like communication, perseverance, and leadership. One of the things I'm trying to do as a member of the IGDA Los Angeles chapter is bridge the gap between developers here in Los Angeles and throughout the world. And it's still hard for me to think of myself as a leader in the LA games community or in the games community at large. But gradually, I am coming to think of myself as a success. Thank you.